Over the past 4 years, the present PEI Liberal government has put the Islanders $500 million in provincial debt. This will reach $1.8 billion by the end of next year. The Fraser Institute of Canada has rated Robert Giz and given him the lowest rating in Canada for his budget and deficit over the last 4 years.
No, I don't think we need to, in order to work with the debt and deficit. Certainly we have it under control. Our treasurer has a plan to have balanced books within a couple of years, 2014. And that's the plan we have. We have a plan in place, and it doesn't include cutting any civil servants or programs. I think we have to build on the programs we have, make them more effective. And certainly the civil servants we have a great role to play, and we'll continue to work with them and continue to move forward with all the programs we have in place. And I think there's areas that we can look at where we can better service people, but it doesn't mean cutting civil servants or programs.
Under a non-party government, we won't be cutting any programs, but what we will be doing is looking at where the Liberal government has been wasting their money and funding and seeing what we can do about actually managing that deficit.
No, I will not support cutting pensions for civil service and whatever. The debt, first of all, we got to go in and restructure and see what's going on, where all our money is going. This previous government is telling us that there's being short change from transfer payments from Ottawa. I'm almost sure that that's not true. I have some documents here that I know it's not true. For me, first of all, I think we got to go in and look at the real situation of where our money's going. I know there's a lot of money that's definitely going somewhere, but my first goal is to go in there and maybe do a restructuring on the books and just see what's going on. Then we'll start dealing with the debt. We cannot be running a debt in Prince Edward Island. Right now we're in dire straits. We have a $2 billion deficit. This previous Liberal government put $408 million towards the debt in 4 years. And we cannot do that. We have to be running a balance of our books. And the first thing we got to do is stop wasting money and make sure that when we're spending taxpayers' money, it's going to good services. And we can't be running a deficit, because somebody's at some point in time is going to have to soon start balancing the books, and we certainly will look at balancing the books. And like I said, all our friends is not going to be taken from the. Like I said, the first thing, we got to make sure that our money is wisely spent, and for that we have to be. There are programs. We're not going to be cutting no programs, but we're going to make sure our programs are going to work for all Islanders, and that's the biggest part about that there, and that's where it's got to start. Then once we get in there, then we'll do more and definitely correct that problem.
No, I don't think there's any need to cut services or programs. I think the Liberal Party has learned from years ago that that's not the way to do it. If everybody remembers the infamous wage rollback, we're certainly not looking at cutting wages or services. We think good fiscal management is the way to go, and I think we've shown that over the last 4 years. We have a very capable finance minister in West Sheraton there. He's an ex-banker, and we have a plan to get the books balanced by 2014, and we're sticking to that plan without cutting services or jobs.
I don't think the government should cut any services or programs that they provide to the public, and I don't think they should lay off any civil servants. I think to deal with the deficit on Prince Edward Island, if the government would support farmers in organic farming, I think that would be a big boost to Prince Edward Island. That would bring in more tourism, and it would create a lot of jobs for small farms, big farms. I think that would be a good way to go, and that's all I have to say about the deficit, I guess.
3, go.
No, I don't believe in cutting civil servants. Government wastes enough money on their own. That's why the debt's increasing. You take $2.8 million for a bunch of piles of clay and board, and you know, it's not feasible. It may look good, but it's taxpayers' money that's being put out for these foolish things, and it can be better spent elsewhere.
3, go.
You know, governments of all jurisdictions are always wrestling with the issues of fiscal imbalances and deficits and trying to provide and maintain the services to an increasingly expectatious public, but yet very few people want to pay the taxes that are required to provide that service in an effective way. So governments are always in that challenge in trying to balance those services with the financial resources that are at our disposal. When it comes to the HR staff, so, you know, usually most of these services are delivered by an individual, and I'm of the belief that you know, we have to you know, always do the due diligence on our civil service, but you know, as it stands now, most of those people are working effectively, and we do our best to try to provide those services as effective. And it doesn't mean that there aren't times when people have to wait to get a decision made. So if I was looking at building permits, sometimes it takes a little while to get a building permit approved. That's an HR situation. Or inspections by our electrical inspectors, or delivery of service at our Access PEI locations here, even in O'Leary. Sometimes people might have to wait for a little period of time, but government, I think, always is mindful of looking at how that service is delivered, as well as you know, how long the wait times would be for that. So we always will manage that to the best of our abilities, but as it stands now, I don't see that there's an overburdened civil service with too many workers. So we can you know, be proud of our civil service and try to maintain those services as best we possibly can, but yet mindful of the issues around the deficit and the budgets that we try to balance. Like by influencing the situation where we have financially audited statements by the Auditor General before an election campaign, we now know that we have run a current fiscal deficit of $50.9 million, and that should be something that the general public will observe when politicians are out knocking the door and making wild and erroneous promises that may not be realistic to deliver, because in the end of the day, the costs to deliver that service are going to be a factor, and so it's no good making promises and create expectations that can't be delivered, because on the other side of the coin later on, some services may have to be reduced or cut. So I caution every voter to take a look at that situation and make up their own mind whether any politician is making a promise that may not have a reasonable chance of implementation in future.
2, 3, go.
Cindy, the answer to your question, will you support cutting programs, services, and civil servants to deal with the provincial debt and deficit? I'm not in favor of cutting programs, services, or civil servants. If we clean up the wasteful spending in Prince Edward Island, there's no need to cut these programs, services, or civil servants.
Go.
There's absolutely no plan to cut services or positions within the system in order to service the budget that is necessary to balance by 2013. That's been our commitment without having to cut services. We can do that through a number of means, including as people retire, and we can look at how the system is working. Without having to cut any positions, we can still service and provide the services that are necessary to keep everything in place that's there now.